In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of the Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 remote meeting of the Franklin Township Trails Advisory Committee was posted on the township's website and electronically transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, indicating that this remote meeting would take place via WebEx at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, December 14th, 2022.
All right.
Roll call.
All right. Vanessa Jones,
Present?
Anne Marie Orleski. I know I just saw her. Up there she is. Hi, Anne Marie. Okay. Chuck Martin.
Here.
Mark Fortin.
Here.
John Hurling.
Here.
And am I missing anybody? Vanessa? No, that's it. And then we have AT here from our IT department.
And Chris Gonda and Jim Kulikowski are.
Oh, yes, they're absent.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the November 22nd, November 2022 minutes?
So move.
Motion. I'll make a
Okay.
motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay.
We have a move and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any abstained or opposed? I heard everybody say aye, so I think we're all set.
Awesome. Okay.
Is there a need to open for public comment? Is there anybody from the public here?
There's no one from the public.
Are you calling me?
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Pathways and Trails Plan. Today, we're gonna be focusing on a discussion of updating the mapping for the Pathways to Trail. I know AT, you are here to help us with this part of our meeting, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So AT, everyone here knows AT, right? And he's been working hard on our updates from our mapping. So he wanted to talk about the maps that are done right now and kind of get your feedback. It's important for our Pathways and Trails plan because we need those maps finalized so that we can get the measurements to put in the plan and also include them in our plan to finalize it. So thanks for working on it, AT. And I guess if you want to take it away, should I give you the share? Are you able to share or should I give that to you? What's easier?
Yes, I would like to share with my other account, AT Desktop.
Okay. I will do that. I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay,
Okay, it should be coming over.
okay, I see it.
Okay.
I have two screens. I'm not sure which one I shared. What do you see on the screen?
We see the old trails map.
Okay, okay, okay. So I wanted to share with you, first of all, I wanted to bring you up to date on the mapping project, the GPS mapping project. The GPS data collection has been done. The data collection has been success, great success in my estimation. You folks gathered, and I collected data for 9 different areas, which is probably more than 9 trails, but I have prepared not maps, draft maps for 9 separate areas that I would like to show you now and to solicit your feedback on. a little on the process that I went through working on these maps. I gathered the GPS data as collected by you folks. The data was, for the most part, very good. There were a few minor errors, which is expected, which is part of the process. I edited the trails, the track data. I edited. I didn't touch the original data, but I made a copy and I edited those copies to a various degrees, to a various extent for different trails. Some required little to no editing, some required a little bit more, which is also understandable. And in some areas, I wasn't sure whether certain artifacts, so to speak, were just errors of data collection or features of the trail. And these are the areas that I wanted to get your feedback on. In some other areas, and I'll show you that too as well later, I saw some rather significant difference between the old maps and the new maps. And again, I want to get your feedback on that, what to keep, what to discard. And finally, in some areas where there are a lot of trails that kind of overlap on top of each other, I would like to get your feedback on where, for example, the yellow trail ends and the purple, I'm using random names here, the purple trail, begins, whether if two trails run concurrent to each other or on top of each other, they should be represented by two lines next to each other or on top of each other and things like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me then move my other application to the screen and start showing you the areas one by one. Well, let me go, first of all, let me go to the Inman Trail, an example of a track, GPS track that required very little to no editing. So this is pretty much ready to go. As I mentioned to Tara, today I would like to get your feedback primarily on the line work accuracy, and we'll talk about presentation and symbology at a later time, although we've already discussed that. But for now, let's just, if you don't mind, let's just stick with the line work. So Inman, for all intents and purposes, I have no questions for. Obviously, if you have something to give me back, you're welcome. This is an area where I saw a significant change from the old map. Specifically, I don't know if you can see my cursor right here in this area where all of this does not exist in the old map. I don't know if it's now part of the trail or if this track was collected when it shouldn't have been. This is what I'm asking you folks to let me know.
This is the Franklin Park natural
Yes,
area. Is that
yes.
what we're looking at?
Bunker Hill Natural Area and Franklin Park, yes.
Okay, so that's an additional trail that was been added.
Okay, so okay, excellent. This is exactly what I'm asking for. So this is a legit trail and it will be in the new trails map.
Yes, that's
Brown
the Brown Trail. Is that correct?
I believe so, Chuck. I'm a little confused because it's not attached to anything else on the other side. Wait a second, hold on, make sure. Can you slide this
maybe
over so we can see what it's
I
connected
cut it
to?
off in a way that's not very meaningful to you folks, for which I apologize. Obviously, there's a green trail starting here and connecting all the way to the west, to the left on the map.
Yes, that's a part of the
Which
road
is this
trail that actually moves into the Princeton Highlands section.
Yes. This is the next section.
Right.
Okay.
There's a lot of line work here, and there's John Clyde / Princeton Highlands area. These are tracks collected by, at different times, presumably by different people. I've had some interaction with Chuck Viatara on this section of the trail. It looks like this section was collected twice, and I understand that maybe we should stick with the yellow line, and the blue line, which goes a little bit into private property, should not be on the map.
Yes, I was out, I guess I was the one who was most recently out there. I've mapped that trail several times. I believe the yellow line is actually the accurate part of it, AT.
Thank you. Thank you,
I think Chris got a little lost there because there was that straight part of that yellow line is part of a intercontinental coaxial cable
Yes.
CIA network, something or whatever, and it so that actually proceeds past the point at which you would turn to the east toward the service road.
Right. Okay, thank you. We have a few other things here. This line here is not present in the old maps. I don't know if this is indeed a new trail, or it was just an artifact of the data collection that needs to be discarded.
Oh gosh.
Let me show you the old map. Yeah, here is the old map.
The old map is more accurate in terms of existing trails, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of questions, and I have some thoughts along those lines. Let me, if I may, let me go to the Negri Trail, and some of my questions will be better illustrated there, I believe. Here's the Negri Trail, or set of trails as collected by GPS by various members at various times. And let me pull up the old or existing Negri map, which is this.
Mhm.
Symbology aside, you can probably see that the new trail has a slightly different configuration. Or maybe you can't.
Are you referring to the red line?
I'm referring to two sections. I'm referring first to this area, which has a different configuration on the old map, and then I'm referring to this area, which kind of cuts diagonally across the property, whereas on this map you see a different configuration.
Right.
All right, a couple of things. I was looking at this, or looking at the new one, and I caught some things. First of all, that area that you described using the new map, if we can go back to that, right?
Yes.
See the double purple yellow line, and then that part that breaks. Yes. All right.
Yep.
That's where the bird line is. There is another trail now opposite that, and that is what that yellow line is. I don't think that exists on the first map you showed.
Right. Okay.
And I'm looking at straight out to the right there. I need to do more mapping out there because it's missing a piece.
Okay.
So
Here or
yeah, put the cursor further up to that brown trail.
here?
Yeah, that part I need to redo because you're missing a piece.
Well, maybe there's a trail represented in white here that it's not clearly seen on the screen, so maybe you're not missing a piece, but I have symbolized it in a way that is not well suited for this WebEx meeting. There is, if you can see my cursor, there
Yeah,
I'm following a line here.
Yeah, that needs to go in, but I think, yep, keep going, stop. Up. So
Okay.
right in there,
Mhm.
there's a little bit that needs to get redone in there.
Okay.
Because there's a little of a loop and stuff like that. So that is not present in there. I need to redo that.
Okay. There is more. There is more. If I can keep moving my cursor, if you can follow my cursor, there's more white line over here.
Right, that
On-
takes you out to the street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Okay, so-
missing.
Okay.
Okay, it's there, it's just in white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I see you got that loop in, which is actually important. The loop nearest to Bennett Lane, because the loop gets you around the wet area, a wet area in parts of the different seasons and so on. So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Wait, I'm not totally satisfied with this. I think I want to go out and, if we have time, just to do
Dr.
that.
Tara,
It's hard
I-
for me because we have hunting now and I have a lot of concerns about being out there except on Sundays.
Does
But
it
I
look
think-
like, Anne Marie, though, the white, I don't know if you can see the white. Does it look like the white is what you did and you're okay with? Like if AT was to change that to brown, would that then be correct? Or you think there's something like actually missing?
I think there could be a piece missing in the part that goes out to Bennett's Lane. Even if we put the white back in.
yeah, can you move the map down so we can see where it connects with Bennett's Lane?
Well, right now, these 8 or 9 draft maps that I've prepared, those are PDFs, so this is the full extent. What I can do, if you bear with me for just a couple of minutes, I can actually open the GIS application and you can see, I can then pull everything, I can pan around, I can change the colors, and you can see, GIS in production.
Oh.
Do you want
Yeah,
me to do that? Do you have time or interest for that?
Yeah, it's part of our work session, so yeah.
Okay.
And that line that you described, it's still kind of a diagonal line, that yellow line that starts on that top corner and then goes to the brown. That was actually, that's walked. So that is what it is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing I can do, I'll show you in just a minute here. That yellow line is actually there on the ground because when you see it over the aerial, it's right there. So wherever the old map's track was, maybe there was a trail there at some point, but it's not there anymore.
That new one across from the blind.
The mowing of Negri trails has not been managed well. And I think, in fact, that what you saw on the original satellite maps with that track that was farther north has not been mowed properly for a number of years.
GIS application is loading, so be
Yeah.
patient.
That's okay. Anne Marie, while AT is loading it up, everything else seems to look good, like from what you see here, except for what he's gonna load up and show you now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute.
Does this make more sense now?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, it's just in white and it does lead out to Bennett's Lane.
And you can also see that if I turn off this yellow trail, you can see on the aerial that this is actually where the trail is. So whoever collected this data did a pretty good job.
Except I'm not satisfied with what's happening there, where you just had your cursor in that brown trail there.
Right, okay.
Chuck, does that look suspicious to you? I don't know if that's correct. I might have to redo that.
Yeah, it's sort of funny, Anne Marie, because actually, I think the last time I was on it, I ended up where AT is showing. But as I recall, I'm resisting the urge to try to put my cursor on it because I know that won't work. But I thought, in fact, the brown trail actually moved. You see a Myrtle about 3/4 away from the to the right. That the trail actually, I thought, actually connected to the white trail heading farther west. But again, what I think what happens is that the trail mowers, not the mowers that are mowing the entire area, but the trail mowers go out and they get stuck in wet spots, and
Right,
then
they do.
and then they start carving a new path through there after they get the stuck vehicle out. They know where these areas are. They get stuck in them every year, and I don't know exactly how we have to deal with it. But right
I tell you,
now,
that brown trail is the one I actually walked. That's real.
yes.
What I'm concerned that might have changed is there are from Bennett's Lane connecting to that. Because there's a connection, and I don't see it there, and I think there's something missing.
You mean here probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see on the area. I don't know if you can see it on, yeah.
Oh, no, not that part. That's part of their farm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not ours.
Oh,
Actually, that's a site, an area that's in contention. That light green area to the right of the wooded area is actually on the township map as township property. But I've talked to the owner and she says that it's hers. So
What's
uh,
on the
Where is
18, what's on
Melba's
the other,
house
the,
in
the
relationship to
previous
this?
version? Is there more on the original version compared to this white section near Bennett's Lane?
let me pull
what
up
was that again, Vanessa?
the old.
Yeah, Chuck, I was asking if on this version near Bennett's Lane, that section that Anne Marie's questioning, if we can see it on here.
No, the loop is missing. Yeah, the loop, and maybe because what Chuck was saying, they kind of get creative out there, but there is kind of a loop coming in. Yeah, I'm not satisfied with this. I'm gonna have to redo it.
Well, to me, the loop that HE has on his map that he just displayed looks accurate to me.
Does? All right.
Yeah, yes. I've been out there a number of times. Actually, I've had to cut away overhanging stuff on that loop at various times, as well as dealing with a bunch of poison ivy, which is the best patch of poison ivy in New Jersey, actually. I think the loop's pretty accurate. And actually, both areas are used. Both parts of that trail are used in the loop at different times of the year.
Yeah.
It's just there's a low spot proceeding from Venice Lane straight back that you can get around on the loop.
It just looks so straight to me. And and when you look at the reddish brown line, that's my actual walking. And you can see
Right.
how like dips and dives, you know.
Right.
So I just think I don't know. It might be worth another go. I
Yeah.
know we have time constraints too, though, so I don't want to blow up the whole thing, but
Uh, Just give me another minute. I wanted to double check with what you mentioned here about this area because the light semi-transparent green is supposed to represent protected preserved land, township
That's right.
land.
Mhm.
And let me just double check with my other application to make sure that that this map is correct. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Uh,
it's
Couple
not
of
a
weeks
trail.
ago,
We,
my wife and I were out there and we went down that line. I didn't realize it wasn't a trail. It was mowed, but it wasn't a trail.
mode.
I-
You went
you
all
don't
the way down to
indicate-
the street? John, you went all the way to the street?
Headed that, yeah, we didn't go in that direction. We realized we were in the wrong place and just started going to the left there.
Yeah, you can see that left turn. That's accurate. But yeah, that faint line going out to the street, I've never been there.
Yeah, the owner, of the land, her house is in that area to the right of that. Yeah, that's her house.
This area, I just double checked. This
Yes.
area is owned by Negri Farm, and this area is owned by the Township of Franklin. Now,
Right.
Chuck says that there's contention. I don't want to open a can of worms, but the fact is that this is indeed owned by the Township of Franklin.
I'm literally,
I agree with you, AT. I think the problem is that the owner is incorrect. What has happened though is that she is in a assisted living house home on
God.
in the northeast.
Cape
And
Cod.
she has leased that area to a sheep farmer, and the sheep farmer has laid a fence down right along that brown section of the trail that's in township property. And actually, what you're seeing is this must be a very recent satellite view because the sheep are literally the grass out of that entire area as a result of as a result of its grazing. But I agree. I think the township map is accurate, and it's something that the fence needs to be moved to where it only goes along the private property. But
The woman you're referring to is Melba, right?
yes, that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
She's in Cape Cod.
she's in Cape Cod. That's correct. I couldn't remember the name. But
And that's where I was looking for her property.
right, and her property is the brownish area to the right of it, and the long houses there, I believe, are former hen house and barn, and her house is actually in the wooded section that's clustered farther east on Bennett's Lane. That's it. That's her house right there.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this to be a problem for Melba.
So, what's the verdict here? Do we need more infill in this area, or are we satisfied?
Well, I guess the question is, should we extend the trail through that area? A question for the future is that where we should actually place a parking area for the north end of Negri Napodi on that section of land, as opposed to putting the park, clearing out some of those cedars to the west of it for the parking area which we've been trying to put in.
But for right now, for this mapping exercise, we're just trying to have it reflect what's actually there at this moment, right?
Right, what's there. Yep. If we do put in, the good thing about having the trails mapped like this as layers is that if we do make a change like that, now we can easily make the change.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now we need to reflect what is actually there on the ground. So Anne Marie, do you need to redo this or not?
I feel like I should redo it. Not the brown that's already there, that reddish line, that is totally accurate. But I want to make sure that the rest of it is accurate, going out to Bennett's Lane and coming back and hitting the yellow trail above that. I'm not sure that's accurate. I want to make sure that's accurate.
Okay, well, I mean, you have other maps you can work on while you're waiting, like to find, like for
maps to
this.
work on. I have plenty of
So,
other maps
yeah.
to work on and plenty of little editing to do. Like, for example, these little curly cues, obviously, I'm gonna take them out because they don't need to be there, but the general trajectory of the trail is correct, and we're gonna keep that, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
that is correct. That is what it is.
Okay, okay. Then
I'm sorry to throw a wrench into your plans, but looking at it on the screen, I'm like, uh-oh, I better redo.
Okay. We did we talk about this? The environmental center?
Where are we now? Or are you, because you said you wanted to go
Environmental
to,
center? Oh, let me go to the live map. Now that we have the live map, we can just move around, pan around. Environmental center, blue trail, white trail, brown trail. Does that all look good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks good to
Well,
me.
don't listen to me. I should listen to them because they actually did it, but yes.
Okay. This thing, whatever color it is, looks good.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Let's see, wait a minute. That trail, I'm looking to see where it proceeds through the streets. Yes, that is accurate. Yes.
Okay. Then over here to this brown trail, we confirmed that this section, which wasn't on the previous maps, is now legit and belongs there.
correct.
Correct.
Okay. This all looks good. Now on to Butler. Butler looks good to me. Let me know what you folks think.
Can you go back to the Franklin Park natural area one more time? I didn't get to see where it hit the road. I just want to just make sure. Okay. And then just curving back. If you can zoom out a little bit. I don't need it that close.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So the Catalpa Park is going to go in that upper left corner.
Here.
beyond the blue line, like yeah.
Yeah, and Catalpa Park is going to have trails in it as well that will be connecting with these trails, as I understand it.
Right. So when that happens, we'll have to update this one too. Can you just go back to where the blue meets the brown? And can you just zoom in a little bit where that happens? Because this is the new part. I just want to make sure I'm seeing this right. Okay. Like that's that little bit of
my
long
headphones.
top.
Is that running into the golf course or is that
I think they're
just a
in the
function
middle
of
of the
the
console.
image?
Tell Daddy.
They're in the console.
Okay.
The reason I mentioned this area is because, again, I don't know the trails at all, but I know that the semi-transparent green patches are preserved land, and this section does not go over preserved land. Is that correct?
Uh,
Tara, Tara, do you know about that?
I'm looking,
Was that land that was donated by the developer uh, for the purpose of the trail,
yeah,
extending the trail in that area?
it looks correct to me.
The question is this preserved land? He's saying the green doesn't match the other greens.
The green doesn't match the other greens. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's preserved like as preserved open space or green acres. I think it's like through a developer's agreement. So I believe, yes, it is. It's not really what you would call, I guess technically it's preserved, but not through a program, like an actual preservation program. It was done through a development agreement.
But Tara, I thought the whole Bunker Hill Trail was donated through a developer. Like
Uh,
that whole,
no, I don't think the entire trail was. I believe there are portions of it that were through the development agreement, and there was some that was done through open space.
so AT, if we back up, can we just back up so we can see where where this goes towards Bunker Hill Road? Where the yellow trail is? So, okay. Because that all looks, because I was under the impression that that trail, what here is brown, but actually there is yellow. Huh. Is that an issue? Like, Tara, is that something that we need to look into, like as far as making sure it is preserved?
No, because even if it doesn't mean that it's not preserved. It's just not preserved in like a category that fits under the GIS categories that I think we have. Like, for example, the preserved land layer that the state has. It's land that's preserved through green acres. So if it's not preserved through green acres, then it's not coming up. That doesn't mean that it's not preserved. It's just preserved under like a conservation easement or a developer's agreement.
Okay.
And I don't think we have those areas in GIS. I don't think really anyone does. There's a lot of easements that are just not mapped. But no, we're good there. It's
Okay.
definitely across preserved land and everything. It's just not, I wish there was a way to make it show better, but
Okay, thank you. Thanks,
you're
AT.
welcome.
Okay, so Bunker Hill, we're good, looks good.
Yes,
These loops are legit.
yes, they are.
How about this little loop here?
Gosh, that's a tricky one. That's part of the stream crossing, I believe. No, it's not.
Okay, so make it one line.
I think you might as well.
Okay.
We get spring floods, and it alters the course of the trail in that area to some degree.
Okay, okay. Well, the question is, I mentioned earlier, I have a bunch of thoughts about that. Every map is an abstraction in a way. So how much do we want to abstract? Obviously, we're going to smooth, the trail and every little jut we're not going to show. So for the purposes of trail mapping, as you mentioned, Chuck, we might as well just make this a single line, and whoever
Yes.
goes to the trail, they'll know where the trail is, right?
I think people will be able to navigate with that simpler detail on the map.
These two tracks, that one is red, one is magenta, just randomly symbolized, but they overlap for this little section. Is that the way it's supposed to be, or it doesn't matter?
They actually overlap. It's the same trail in that section. And now I'm sorry, I realize what that loop is.
Uh-huh.
Good grief. I'm trying to go back out and check that section, because actually there's two entry points to the red trail from the purple trail. And I'm trying to figure out where exactly the stream is. Is that because at the point of the stream there is a loop, one can get to the stream in two ways. And they're actually cleared trails in that loop. I think thinking about it, I think you need to keep the loop in.
Okay.
What I am concerned about is that there may be another entry point to the red trail. If you follow the purple trail up to where the word draft is the purple trail, I believe there is also an entry point coming back that will connect you with the red trail that I must have missed.
Purple trail going up, looping, stays well within the green highlighted area. Looks good to me. What do you folks think?
Looks very good.
Negri, we went over. Inman Park, we went over.
For the Inman Park, can I ask you a question? I know Jim wasn't able to be here tonight, but he did email and brought up I guess this kind of goes back to mapping what we have now, Tara, but Jim's question about not having the hike go through the parking lot. Is that something that we should talk about now or another time?
uh,
We're just trying, right now, we have to show what is currently there. If it's something that we're thinking we're gonna change before the plan comes out, then well, actually, no, I'm sorry. We should talk about that at another time because it's not currently there and AT is only dealing with what's on the ground.
Okay, so a couple things. So this one, rerouting this one, not through the parking lot is something we'll want to talk about. And then the other one about the Negri parking lot area. We should talk about that too, because we know
Right.
those might lead to changes in mapping. Okay.
They might, yeah.
All right, thank you.
okay. Meadowbush Park, this is what we have.
Okay, AT, I just noticed a couple of days ago that the Children's Nature Trail is not on that map. And
Talk about Meadowbush?
on Middlebush Park, yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And that, oh, well, let me see, if you could blow it up a bit more. It is on that map. It's the purple. There's a green line.
There's a green
There's-
line which
There's a long parking lot.
doesn't stand out well against the green background, but now you can probably see it better. So there's a
Okay.
green line, green and purple overlap over in this section. And then,
Okay, in that section where your cursor is, the purple line actually is the Children's Nature Trail.
okay. Okay.
And I guess I was looking at the old map, which it was not on previously. So thank you for getting that in.
I didn't. You did, whoever. You did.
Tara did. She mapped that.
I did, yes, that I did do. I'm glad, so it's there, yep, okay.
This is the old map.
Yes, that's yeah, the Children's Trail is not on that map.
Okay. 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 So we're good here. And Colonial Park, we have several tracks there, which is the main trail, the Knob Hill Trail section over here, the Lois Howe Nature Trail, and the Rose Garden Trail.
Actually, I've been working on a narrative for that Colonial Park area, and it was called to my attention that the area south of the Rose Garden, there's an extensive area south of there that is part of the Arboretum, and it's actually there are no trails, but there are broad expanses of grass in that area. There are a lot of people who go hiking dog walking, leash dog walking, and there are also equestrian traffic in that area as well. I don't know whether we should actually denote that somehow on the
There's
map.
a dog park here. There's a dog park, no leash, right here in this area.
That's okay. Then on the other
So
side,
you're talking about southeast of this is the Rose Garden.
all right, and move your cursor down just a few mil. Okay, it's this area in here which has the word draft in it. There's looks like there's a very large, very old trees in that area, specimen trees, and that is actually very grassy. There are actually benches placed along the brook on that side of the trail there that hikers and wanderers will use.
Well, interestingly, I'm not sure when this area was taken, but this area appears to be flooded on this particular aerial.
Wow, yes, it does, doesn't it? And yeah, so the pond is that's actually, what's it called? It's a named stream. It's Spooky Brook. It's actually
Oh, yeah.
another Spooky Brook stream that flows through the area and goes underneath the canal and empties into the Millstone floodplain. It was actually dammed at one. Well, there is a dam on the other side of Mettler's Road. Diana and I were just out there yesterday, in fact, because I was another person called my attention to it, and it's actually a beautiful area, and it's used quite a bit by hikers and dog walkers and horseback riders.
John Luce and I were there last week.
Okay, John actually sent me the message. He called my attention to it.
One final trail is the Demott Lane Trail that Tara collected. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty straight as well.
Yeah.
Very nice, clean trail all the way from Eastern Avenue to Amwell Road. I don't know if you have any feedback on that, folks. And if you don't, that's all I have for you. Do you have any questions or suggestions for me at this point?
There is another trail at Van Wickle House. It is a short trail. It was actually made by an Eagle Scout some years ago. There are actually some interpretive signs on it, and it's just never appeared on our maps. But I'm thinking we should list that as part of our trails and perhaps map it. It proceeds from the Van Wickle House parking area in front of the house. And well, yeah, it's flooded.
That's a bad flood.
Yeah, and let's see. Can we find the house there? It actually goes through the wooded area. Your cursor is just above the wooded area that it goes through.
Okay.
And it actually you can go out to Easton Avenue on that trail. And like I say, it's just some scout put it together some years ago, and there's evidence of it there, and I think there are actually some interpretive signs. So, and then there's the boardwalk behind Van Wickle House. I don't know whether that should be a part of our trail maps as well, but it's Franklin Township open space property.
That's
And
not,
we're missing,
that's
we're
not state
missing,
of New Jersey property. That's Franklin property.
I think it's Franklin's property.
I
but
thought it was the state.
It's
The Van Wickle House?
well, that's a very complicated area in there. The parking lot is township to the point of that guardrail. I know this because I've been working with the state park in this area with the kayak launching area points in that area. So we've been studying these maps quite a bit. And the Van Wickle House is township property but it's also National Historic Register. It's a historic place as well,
Right.
and it's leased to the Meadows Foundation.
It
uh,
is, yes.
who manages the house. And the area, I believe the area around it is all township property extending down farther south of your cursor. I think to the point. Yeah, you got now you can see it. If you click on those lots, do you have the information which has been taken off of what I see on the township maps? But
I do.
as the property owners,
These lots are township property, and the next two are state property.
that's state property.
These two are state property.
Okay, I think that Van Wickle House Trail goes through the park that's the township property, the two lots that are the township property, but might actually extend a little bit into the state property as well.
Okay, so,
We are missing one thing. We're missing Memorial Forest at the end of Amwell Road, where Amwell Road turns left. There is the farmer there, and behind that, there is a trail.
Yes.
Have done some preliminary explorations,
Yeah.
John, Diana and I, and
Did we have this discussion in Trails meeting? It was just open space meeting that there's been property that's been acquired that goes out to Elizabeth Avenue. And there, it was, I guess it was a discussion in open space property meeting. But
Is that the area you're talking about, Anne Marie?
I can't tell. Can you go out a little bit? Is that the end of Amwell Road?
This is Amwell Road, and this is Elizabeth Avenue.
right,
This is to the north of Amwell Road.
right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, Anne Marie. That's where you and Diana and I were wondering.
Is that trail though still actively used, or has it been kind of taken over? Because I was there a few weeks ago, and is the trail still really like maintained?
Well,
But
it's not maintained,
I can tell you that.
but we did with great perseverance kind of walk it through. So I have to say that there is a unmaintained trail in there. You can follow the signs. We were able to negotiate a lot of that. No one's using it. Well, the hunters use it across the other way, but it is there. And I think it is something that we should be promoting.
and it's listed in our PTP, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
don't think we're able to accurately close the loop on that trail when we were out there, Anne Marie, as I recall. But that looks like the path that we made.
Where exactly is that in town?
It's on Amwell Road, past this intersection.
That makes the big hook.
Amwell Road is the entrance. And in order to get to that trail, you have to drive through the fields that are actually, it's township property that's leased to a tenant farmer. And you drive through the field. AT has this, it just has his cursor on the road, which is just simply a two-lane path through the field to get back to the area. The area where we parked was behind that wooded area where the trail is.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing where, I can't read the screen. I've blown it up as big as I can here, but I can't see it enough. Maybe if AT can zoom in. I can't read Elizabeth Ave. Where am
I don't really see the entrance.
This is Elizabeth.
The entrance is on Amwell Road. The entrance is on Amwell Road, not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the entrance is on Amwell Road. So if you're taking Amwell Road and it makes that left there at the light, and there's a gas station on your right, there's Cedar Grove down there.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Okay.
So is that it? Is
You
that the
see
entrance?
It's the
right where your
entrance, it's there,
cursor is?
yeah.
That's
And
it.
there's a
That's
sign there, the
the
big wooden sign, it says Memorial Forest.
Right.
But you know, you sort of,
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you
There's
saying
no
it was the
proper
Memorial
steel.
Forest. That's the part I missed. I know where the Memorial Forest is. Never mind.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
okay.
See, right where he has the cursor is where you drive in. And it's kind
The
of hazardous
problem with
because you have
that-
to go in quickly because it's
Yeah,
well traveled.
it's there. I mean, I haven't been on the official part of the trail that you have gone back on and sort of mapped there. But anything beyond that official, like, because there was the old railroad bed, and boy, oh boy, did we get a lot of grief from the people who lived along the edge of the railroad bed over there,
Right.
Yeah.
pushing back on it. So
There's a big NIMBY problem with it that you told us about and we've learned about.
there was a lot there. So, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, where you walk that little loop, I mean, it's not much of it. It takes all of what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to walk. I mean, it's probably overgrown, so it's probably a little tougher for you, but when it was open, it was fine, but it was all of drive sort of to park because there's supposedly a place to park there. There is. And then you walk up through the field, walk in the forest, and then turn around and come back. And if you're there a half an hour, it's a lot, unless now you need a machete, maybe. I don't know.
It's more,
We could get in there. AT, could you scroll to the right to show us Elizabeth Avenue connection? I'm sorry, the other direction.
The other right, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let me interrupt you for a second, Chuck.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to be leaving the meeting. I've got another meeting that I have to attend for the East Millstone Historical Society, and we have our Board of Trustees meeting tonight. So
Okay.
I will join you again in the January meeting. And I'll see you on the 20th, Tara.
Yep, sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
John.
Happy
Thanks for
holidays,
everything.
John.
All right.
Bye,
Same
John.
to
See
you
you on the
guys.
20th.
Take care, John.
Take care.
There's a fascinating little area here because part of it is soggy. Then there's it abuts someone's private property back there. So what? All right.
Okay, AT,
Wait, hang on 1 second, Chuck. Hang on. Go ahead, Anne Marie, finish.
But that's the thing. How do you get from that little loop that we outlined? And Mark is right. It is a short-term little loop, but there is other potential in those little fields there, except in hunting season. And if you travel up where the cursor is, that's where that private property is. But you're right, Chuck, there is that line there, and we did walk on there, although it was kind of muddy.
Yes.
You know, we didn't get out to Elizabeth there, like the first time we were there, but it's interesting proposition.
Well, there was actually a recent discussion, I think the last open space meeting about the township has acquired that property. That
Mhm.
has that little boot heel that goes out to Elizabeth Avenue. And, and the discussion was about creating an entrance there as part of a arboretum for memorial trees. And I think the discussion included some suggestions that we could actually maybe put a parking area in that spot coming from Elizabeth Avenue, and then moving the trail to connect with the trails in that wooded area, plus perhaps the wooded area to the northwest of that.
So what I think I'm hearing is we need to add this to our agenda as well, is like revisiting Memorial Forest.
That's
We
right.
want to expand that. For
Right.
the time being,
Right.
like, you know, we want to have this on record, but we're not going to really do much with it at this point.
Right.
Okay, so going
Yeah,
back
I would like to hear more about where they'd like to go, because I don't know, you know, I just think you're gonna face the kind of pushback we got every time we touched anything along the old railroad bed.
This isn't near the old railroad bed. This is
But you're still dealing with all those neighbors in the area, Chuck. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
but it's 3 laps away, and actually the NIMBY neighbors are actually no longer there along the railroad bed, as I understand it. But you know, there was just a very detached discussion of it in open space area, and it was actually part of memorial. Where do you put memorial trees? And in particular, the memorial tree to the mayor's mother, I think, is part of this. But so, I mean, it's very early stages of discussion about this.
I agree with Vanessa. We're going to have to table that for another intense moment.
Okay, so going back to the other trust, I guess, so I know that we actually had here the trail at Colonial Park, correct? Did we
Sorry,
look
say
at
that
that?
again?
Isn't that one of the ones we looked at?
What was the trail again?
Did we look at a trail at Colonial Park earlier?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
So, okay, so I guess if we're looking at a Colonial Park trail, then we should have a 6 mile run trail, and we should also have a towpath trail, right? Just
Well,
if
that is something that's up for discussion. So the Colonial Park Trail is there. That's a county park. We do, you know, we did speak about this at open space a while back, just when I was updating them about this project, and said, you know, should we be doing the state lands as well? And I think the thought is, yes, we should. However, that is a big undertaking. So we need to like kind of talk about that at this committee. Is that something we're gonna do and put in the plan, or are we just gonna use the state maps that are available?
Well, the towpath is so straightforward. I mean, you could use the state material
Right.
because where's it going to go, right? You just
Right.
I've been in the last few days, I've been working on a narrative that you can consider to include in the assets part of the section, that it includes Colonial Park and State Park. I was actually writing on it some this afternoon. I was trying to put in the narrative entry points that Franklin Township residents can enter the towpath, and some information about what hikers can do on the towpath, and so on. It's in a very rough form right now, but I can try to clean it up and circulate it to you if you like, and in the next few days. And you know, you folks can decide how you would want to deal with it. But I have been working on this. I personally feel like it's important to have these asset descriptions include both the county open space and the park trails in it, because they're so intimately connected to our Franklin Township open space trails that we work on.
All right, well, that's that. Vanessa, maybe add that to your agenda, because that's a different talk than what AT is here for. Although AT, if we do decide to go that way, we'll have to do the same mapping updates that we're doing now. I'm just a little concerned about the time it may take. I'm also concerned because the state already has their own data and maps. The county does not have the data for Colonial Park in this form, so it's not as difficult, you know. I don't know. So we'll have to talk about it, but.
Okay, so
yeah.
Terry, just let me clarify. So we did Colonial Park because the county didn't already have it?
The county doesn't have that data, the new offshoots and the trails. They don't have it in this type of data where like it's GPS data. I don't think
But the state does?
I don't know if they do. Looking at their maps, I think that the 6 mile run property does at least. I'm not sure if it's just drawn lines like what we had before, or if it's actual data points. But it is state property. They do have existing maps.
Tara, I can barely hear
You're
you.
losing your volume, Tara.
Oh no.
You're like just really getting really soft.
Can you hear me now?
It's
I'm not sure if they have the data like the way that we have it. from looking at the maps that they've produced, I think that they do, but I can't be 100% sure. We just haven't mapped any of the state properties yet, just because of the size.
Okay. Well, I have a good friend who's a mountain biker, and I could I know that he could help me like do that. I mean, I'm happy to help with the 6 mile run, but I know on a mountain bike it's going to be a lot easier to do it quickly.
Okay.
So if we Tara, so I know that's not a priority. It's not a priority right now. But I definitely think in like we're really kind of talking about the trails of Franklin Township. Like those are two really important trails, the towpath and
Yeah.
6 mile run.
We
So
have, yeah, we have the maps that the state has made that we could put in the plan if it's like, we're ready to go and we haven't done that
yep,
mapping yet. And then we
sure.
can always replace that mapping. So yeah, I don't think it's that we don't do it. I think we should do it for sure. It's just that if it's holding everything up, we can always replace.
Understood.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
Actually, I have maps. I work with the state park through a volunteer organization, Canal Watch, and we've been actually producing maps of the canal towpath and the canal area that actually we've been using to designate kayak and canoeing entry and portage points. But I might be able to provide you with some temporary maps that you could put in the appendix
Yeah.
that might satisfy what you need for now. But
All right, well, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that. We're gonna have to add that to like an agenda of items.
Yep. So Anne Marie, how are we doing with time?
I was just gonna jump in about time and say that we're kind of like out of time for this segment unless we choose as a group to continue.
AT, Tara, I can't hear you now. Are you muted?
we've lost you, Tara.
Hold on.
Oh, you're there.
Okay.
We hear you.
You're there.
Okay, sorry, I was connecting. I have a microphone that I connected because that was just easier. So you can hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was gonna say if I think we just end the section if it's okay with you, just asking AT if he has everything he needs from us so that he
Of
can
course.
do his work.
Yes, thank you, folks. You've been most helpful. You've given me plenty to work with, and I'll get right on with it. And in the meantime, if you have any more, like Anne Marie wants to go out and collect more data, give it to me as you collect it. And in the meantime, I'll be working on what I already have with your input from tonight, which was very helpful. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you,
I'm glad.
AT.
Thanks for
great.
all the work you're doing, AT.
Thank
We really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, AT.
All right. Thanks, AT.
Yep.
All righty. Okay. All right, good.
Okay.
Sarah, that was very productive. So thank you. And
Oh,
thanks,
yeah.
AT, for joining us.
Yeah, he's been working hard on getting it done, and it's important we get it done, correctly. That's what we're really trying to do our best at. So, yeah, thank you. We're getting there.
Okay. So now the next thing on our agenda is the site plan review.
Site plan review. So, last meeting, let me just double check while we're here, but at the last environmental commission meeting, we actually again did not have any site plan review. There is an update coming in to the warehouse by Canal Walk. There's been updated plans. They didn't get to the environmental commission for the last meeting, but they will be on the next agenda. So when that comes in, I can definitely talk about that at the next meeting. Let me just double check something. I just want to make sure that there's nothing else on the horizon here. Let me just check.
Thanks.
That was the meeting of the Canal Walk is the next meeting. Which is that the planning board? Or is that
I'm telling you from the environmental commission, it will go to the planning board. I'm not sure what the date on that is. Let's see what we got here. Okay. The only other thing that came to the environmental commission was a plan proposed for the foundation of the Wilf campus for senior living. And that was basically saying that they wanted to install some single family residential houses. The biggest thing was is that they were proposing the removal of 7.4 acres of trees, which was over 30% of the total site area. But the reason why they were requesting to do that was to install ground mounted solar arrays. So it kind of was like, didn't make any sense. You're removing all these trees to put in these ground mounted solar arrays. So the Environmental Commission really was saying you need to look at another spot instead of removing this amount of trees. And then the other issue was well, no, nothing really for this group. So that's just like an FYI of what was reviewed. It was a very straightforward plan for single family residences, 6 in total. And that was at 350 Demont Lane.
Okay.
And that's it, but nothing that really impacted trails. The update for the warehouse by Canal Walk may be of interest, but like I said, we'll review that at the next Environmental Commission meeting, and then I can show you all the updated plans at our next meeting.
Thanks, Tara. Okay, moving on to new business, our 2023 meeting schedule.
All right. So I sent everyone around the meeting schedule for next year. So I have to get it to Anne Marie McCarthy for advertising, but I used the same setup that we had last year, and I didn't know if that's how everyone wanted to go. So we can talk about that if you want. It's basically starting off with the in-person meeting in January, then 2 virtuals, in-person in April, 2 virtuals, in-person in July, 2 virtuals, then in-person in October with 2 virtuals.
Look good to me.
Does everyone like this type of schedule? I think it's good. This is the only committee I work with that does this type of schedule, and I think it's really helpful. The other committees, like Environmental Commission, for example, they are mandated to meet in person every meeting. They cannot have a virtual meeting. So, and they're always wishing that they could. So I think it works, but it's really up to you guys if you feel like it's working.
Thoughts around thoughts
I'm,
around this?
I'm good.
I like the flexibility.
Mhm.
It's helpful.
Okay. So we would just need a motion to approve the meeting schedule.
Make
Give
a
a motion.
motion to approve the schedule as written.
We have a second?
Second,
Second with a question.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, a good question. I think we have the same one, Chuck. Do we have enough people for a quorum? Is 4 a quorum for us now?
That was my second
Quorum.
question, but thank you, Mark.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, I jumped in
Because
on
we
you,
just
Chuck.
lost, because we lost John.
Right, with John dropped off, I'm like, are we still at quorum?
We're still okay. Yep. 4 is still, we're still good.
Because it's 7, are we 7 people on the committee
7.
right now?
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, correct. Sorry, then it's worth having your next question asked, Chuck, because I didn't want you to waste your time.
Thanks, Mark. No, I'm just curious. I can't see the bottom of the schedule screen. Is the April meeting virtual or is that in person?
In person.
Oh, gosh. Well, I will probably not be at that meeting, but
That's okay. You know, it's
whatever.
all right. Yeah.
I'll be at 3 virtual meetings before then, so.
Tara, is there a flow to like, yeah, I'm wondering, does it matter if we were to switch around like a virtual for an in-person? Like, does it matter if we had the in-person in April, and virtual in May?
It doesn't
thinking the
matter.
same thing.
I mean, vice versa.
No, it doesn't matter. It just, it goes, you know, it just goes like in person, virtual, virtual, in person, virtual, but it's not that it has to be that. It's just, that's just how it's set up right now.
What are you thinking, Tara? Are you thinking of just, I'm sorry, Vanessa, you thinking about just switching out? Since we know in advance that Chuck can't make it in April?
Yeah, I mean, I would be open to that. I would be open to
I don't-
us having,
I don't have a problem with that, in which case I'd remove my motion from the table so we could request modification.
Well,
The-
thank you.
Okay, so make the April meeting will actually be then the virtual meeting. That's what we're proposing.
Yes.
We're a small group, so I think that's important.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you.
Then make in person for May. Okay.
Right.
So I'll make these changes after before I send it to Anne Marie. Let me just bold it so that I don't forget. Okay. And then so basically the only change now is April will be virtual and May will be in person.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve this meeting schedule with the modifications as just discussed.
I will second.
Okay.
Can I ask, I have one more request. Can I see?
I'll remove my motion.
No. I just want to see September, please.
September's virtual.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Great.
Okay, maybe I didn't
Mark
remove
made the
it.
motion. Can we have a second?
Anne
We
Marie
do have a
seconded.
second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or opposed? Okay. Hearing none.
All right, that's
It is
good.
approved.
Good. All right. Great.
And Tara, you said you emailed this to us already, you said?
I did. Yeah, I emailed it with the agenda, but I'll email you an updated version once I make the changes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get them on my calendar.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, the next item is the Sustainable Jersey Grant Opportunity due in February.
Right. So there is a grant opportunity available from Sustainable Jersey. Franklin has submitted to this grant a few times and we have been successful. We've gotten one $10,000. I'm sorry, we didn't get a $10,000. We got one $20,000 grant. That was to do the Green Infrastructure Action Plan, which is completed. And we have gotten a $2,000 capacity building grant, which was used for the farmers market. So now that our grants are closed with Sustainable Jersey, the monetary, we can apply for another grant. And as you can see, they give out 4 $20,000 grants, 8 $10,000 grants, and 20 of the $2,000 grants. They are due on February 15th or 13th. I have to look at the exact date. But I'm very familiar with applying for these grants. I've done them a lot of times. Oh, here's the date. It's due February 10th. Chuck and I had been discussing, for a little bit, applying for the ability to do the demonstration plots at Negri Napodi. Like we've been talking about, doing the replanting and the signage, and you guys, we've talked about this a few times. Then Vanessa and I were talking the other day, and one other idea that came up for the grant could potentially be doing the trail at Naaman Williams Park, which really builds off of the crime prevention through environmental design study that was done. It's also something that's on our to-do list, basically. So those are kind of the two thoughts that are on the table for the grants. The Environmental Commission had asked to apply for a grant, and I said, no, we already did the green infrastructure plan, so now we're doing a trails thing because we can only apply for one. So this grant opportunity, I'm only looking to submit for a trails project. So we can only submit one. So what I wanted to see is what does everyone think is a good one to apply for now? If we, whichever one we don't apply for, we can request funding through the Open Space Trust through Open Space Advisory Committee. So it doesn't mean the other one's going to get unfunded. What I would say is that we probably want to do a grant request for what we think is going to be of the higher cost, because getting money from Open Space Trust is a little easier if we can request the lesser amount, I think. That's my opinion. So I wanted to discuss that and see, this way I can start working on the application and, get it in before the due date.
So I think I'm interested in the name in Williams Trail, but haven't been there, so I can't visualize the whole thing. So I know, Vanessa, you have, so maybe you can just fill me in on what more your develop thoughts on that, like where,
Yeah.
how much is it, would it cost, what we looking for to request with this grant, things like that.
So the so I had originally just been looking, right? I had just been looking at land near parks that we could potentially put trails in, and then discovered that the wooded area at Naaman Williams Park, and thought about the possibility of taking the current looped trail, circular trail that they have there, and adding a loop into the wooded area. Then I brought that to the committee. I talked to Tara about it. Then she found out that that was township space, which made it, a more realistic possibility. Then, when I was at Franklin Day, I was able to talk with Safi, and Safi, she's currently working on with Tara on the, Tara, what's it called? The health assessment?
Yep, yep.
On the health assessment, and I'm a representative from our committee for that. And one of the things the health assessment is looking at is access to healthy options in different sections of the town, right? The survey they put out is to determine who has access. And certainly in the more densely populated parts of town, as we can see from the work we did today with the trail mapping, there's fewer options. When I was talking to her, I was sharing with her, she then shared that there had been a whole study done through this crime prevention study that was actually funded through Sustainable New Jersey. So Sustainable New Jersey funded that research. Now, Safi happened to have also been the person overseeing that project. So then she shared that with me, and Bo from Parks and Recreation shared that with me and Tara. And in that plan, and I think I might have shared that last month or something, it has they're actually, for crime prevention reasons, they were proposing a trail in that wooded area already. So the study's been done, it's already, it's a proposal. They did survey people in the area, but it wasn't like that many people. There was less than 20 people who actually gave input. Um, and so they have like a pitch of an idea there. As far as the cost, I don't have a sense of that. But certainly, it would take some heavy lifting, to, especially if, it was gonna be like an elevated trail.
Right. So on the screen, I have, this is the crime prevention through environmental design plan that we were talking about. And so they talk about here the wetlands trail, and then I'm sorry, the wetlands that are on site. And then is this where they talk about the trail? So they talk about continued protection of the wetlands area, also allow for residents and park users to learn from its wide diversity. And then these are examples how other parks have created wetlands areas while preserving them. So this is like
Wow.
so that's one thing. But this is the study. It's pretty
Sarah, can you go
interesting.
back to that picture for a second? Like the one, on top here, yeah. And you can see the current Naaman Williams path going towards the swimming pool, and how it goes around the perimeter of the wooded area. And we're just, and then this suggestion would have something also just going through the woods.
Through.
Right.
So, this would be now so for example, if we were to apply, the $20,000 grants are harder to get and there's not as many of them, but having this study done really kind of gives us a leg up, I think, in getting this type of grant for this work. So, and I can refer a lot to it in the plan. But yeah, this is a whole thing here, and it would really work in well with our local health assessment that we're working on, because we are actually going, if we were to do something like this, we're putting a trail in an area that is historically underserved and currently underserved, and also addressing some health disparities that we found in that area specifically.
When was this survey done or this report done that you're referring to?
This,
Date
the-
on it is 2020.
yeah, this was pretty, so I'll show you. So it's from, so the NJTPA, the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, that's our metropolitan planning association or agency, I should say. So it serves Somerset County. They get money from the federal government, from the federal transportation, and they can pass it through to do projects like this that support transportation, that have multimodal transportation in mind, and that does include things like trails. So it kind of gets funneled through to the county, and then the county can funnel it through to the township, or the township can get it through places like Rutgers or Sustainable Jersey.
I think it's a great idea. And actually, Diana and I were out there uh, a couple of days ago walking through the wooded area. It's going to take a lot of work to do this. There is just removing the trash is going to happen. They're actually it's very wetland, but having an elevated trail through the wetlands, I think, is great. It's going to require quite a bit of construction. There is a dry area behind in the wooded area behind the community gardens.
Right.
There. So there are parts of it that we were thinking, depending on how much money is available or whatever, putting something like a children's trail in that dry area would be a great asset for this area. I think it's a great idea, and I think I would strongly support moving in that direction.
And I think too, Chuck, the demonstration gardens at Negri Napodi, those can still be funded. I think they get funded through open space funding though, because it's not going to be, this one, I think we could apply for 20,000, and I think we probably have a good chance of getting it. But we can definitely seek funding from open space or from other funding sources to do that project as well. So that project isn't like off the table by any means. It's just that this grant might be better suited towards this project.
Oh, I think so. Actually, I've been trying to work on this demonstration gardens. I've gotten quite a bit discouraged about the idea of trying to restore what those plots that we're putting in. I think it's just going to be very difficult to do it. But I would like to tie this into an improvement project in that area for disabled people. And I have been connecting with Javier Robles, who is a professor in the Rutgers exercise science department. He's a disabled individual with actually a guide dog, but he is on the Governor's Commission for Disability Services. He's one of the leading people in this area, and I would like to tie in this pollinator restoration area to an effort to improve the disability access in that. And that's going to take some time. And I would like to get Javier out there to see the site, get his opinion about what we can do in that area. Maybe it's not feasible. Maybe it's just a bad location for.
Yeah.
But we need some expert advice on this, and so I would like to proceed in that direction.
All right.
I have two comments on that. I think that's great, and connecting with him is a great idea. But two things I wanted to ask: when the residents who live near that park, who would use it, what's been their response? What were their concerns? What were they looking forward to? I mean, this is for people there. What are they saying?
Well, the biggest concern that was really brought out in this crime prevention through environmental design plan is that currently the park is really not, the residents really aren't able to enjoy it as much as they would like, because there is some activities going on that makes them not want to be there, I guess. So the real thought is like the title says, is that by putting in amenities like this trail and making it that it becomes the residents' park again, that it actually will become safer and will deter that type of activity. Some of the other recommendations in here also are having, more police presence,
Right.
but it shouldn't be, and I do agree. I think sometimes when a park especially becomes a spot that's not as well used and becomes more used for activities that are not, people aren't excited about, it just gets forgotten. And that's the wrong approach because the more you forget about it, the more problems it gets. So, um, but I can also forward out this report to everyone if you're interested in reading it. It's really, really interesting. Some of the stuff. They didn't get that much response from people there. Like Vanessa said, only I think 20 people responded. But we do have a lot of responses from people in Ward 4 for the local health assessment. And one of the common threads there is the lack of, accessible open space. So, you know, we have heard
My
that.
question is always to that, because I've done, when you do a lot of surveys and you get all this data, it's like, how do we aggregate this? And then if we make these changes, would you use it?
Mhm.
And I'm also thinking, Chuck, to tie into that other piece, this is a relatively, as far as I know, relatively flat area. So to put in something that folks who utilize other modes of getting around, like a wheelchair or someone using a stroller, or if you need to use a walker or something, this might be an amenable place to put that kind of a trail in.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
mean, you mean Naaman Williams?
Yes, I was thinking of Naaman Williams.
Yeah.
It's a thought.
Big paths that are totally.
Yeah, Anne Marie, I think that we will want to still go back out to the people in the community, like to make sure that we are getting input. We don't, it was done, but I think, a follow-up as we're doing it to partner with people who are there, making sure that this isn't like the Trails Committee doing something, right? We want it to be the community, having a voice, further voice in it. I know Tara, I think you and I talked about, talking with the councilman who is
Yes.
overseeing that area, making that connection. Um,
Yeah,
but
Councilman Wright, he is very, very involved with that community, so he could lead us to at least some of the community leaders or maybe have a better chance of speaking to people if he's with us or he's leading it. So, excuse me. All
Right,
up
there's
to
so
him.
many good possibilities here.
I just had a couple questions again. So did somebody mention that inside that wooded area, there's some wet or squishy spots? Is that the idea? So, so with
I
the
would say
20,
80%, Mark.
okay, so the $20,000, because this is a $20,000 grant we're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so it'd basically be to put in a boardwalk type
Yes.
situation.
Yeah. It would be
parts of
that,
it,
and
yeah.
hopefully there would be stuff, there's in this plan, it says, it's super important to have signage. So yeah, we would definitely try and squeeze as much as we can out of it. But yes, the actual trail boardwalk itself would be the majority. And then we would use the rest for signage or for community events or whatever it is that we have to, that we can do.
Well, I was wondering, would it be worth, because, just a small tie-in to Chuck's idea of the making, doing something to make it sort of people with physical challenges. Um, something like the sort of fitness pieces that are out at like Colonial Park when you walk along there. There's options that make those something that people even who are maybe in a wheelchair can still utilize or have other, function. I just thought maybe those could go into something like that
Yeah.
The
as
woods,
part of the trail. And it doesn't have to all be on the wooded part. It could go around some of the other sections.
I
Yeah.
think that they already have those kind of fitness stations around at
Yeah, the
Neighborhood
park,
Homes.
Okay, I have not, I've been there for an event, but I haven't walked around the whole path. So,
They might need some updates, but I know that they have them.
well, maybe some of that could then be spent on spiffing up what's already there or adding in the capabilities to use them with people who have different physical capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's a
like
good
that
idea.
idea.
That is
Yeah.
a great idea. Yep.
I like the idea of making sure that that boardwalk area is accessible.
And then my only other comment, and I'm not trying to be, facetious in any way. My question might be, is there a type of finish that it could be utilized that would still be safe, that might make it more difficult for things to be uh, marked inappropriately, graffitied and so forth? Because that would be a concern in a park like that, right? That especially in the woods where nobody's able to see, people can go in and just do whatever they want to stuff like that. And
Right.
that would take away from the attractiveness of that pretty quickly. Um,
I don't
just
know if there is, but that is a good question. I can definitely look into surface types
I
and
think
see if,
they've made varnishes and things, but I don't know
yeah,
if those would be too slippery to make into a safe walking, just something to consider. Or is tracks would be really expensive. That plastic decking, but I don't know if that's any more resistant to it. I mean, you can certainly paint it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. We could definitely include that as part of our request for sure. Like, say we're gonna,
yeah, I don't know what the right way
doing
is to
that.
put
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, because do we pursue those types of options at some place like Colonial Park? No, we don't always do that. Why should we have to pursue it here? But it's more from the basis of having a situation where, I mean, if you go in some of those areas around the park and in those neighborhoods, I was involved with the food bank when the food bank was more closely located there. They've since shifted their location, but graffiti was a problem in that area. So,
Yeah.
um,
And I think that's a good thing for us to think about going into this. We need to be thinking about the maintenance, right? So prevention, yes, but if we can't prevent it, then thinking about regular maintenance, we know that when there is graffiti, you want to clean it up as quickly as possible, and that helps reduce the likelihood of it. I mean, I know even on my
yeah, you've
trails,
seen problems over at Bunker Hill Road with people vandalizing the benches.
exactly.
It's a problem we have at many of our parks, not just one that happens to be situated in an area in a different type of area. So it's just a common problem, but it's a problem we should think ahead about, knowing that we already have this problem in other parts of our spaces. So we should think about it
Right.
here if there's any prevention methods.
Right, I feel like at Bunker Hill, whenever you have a wood surface, right? And if this is gonna be a boardwalk, that's gonna be a large wood surface. So we could definitely think about that as we move forward with this. I just wanna read, so on page 29 of this plan, just to read a little excerpt from it. Maximize the additional recommendation, number 5, maximize access and utility of the wetland area. As mentioned earlier, park patrons and residents repeatedly cited the wetland area as a point of contention and concern. Although it is an important feature and asset to the community, the area's large size and overall lack of maintenance reduces natural surveillance of park patrons at multiple locations. These include near the parking lot and path connecting the residential development along Irving Street and Pfeiffer Place, near the center of the park where women and children reportedly feel isolated, and the children's play area near Coolidge and Matilda Avenue where patrons, where parents expressed concern about their children's safety while enjoying some of the newer playground equipment. To significantly enhance natural surveillance and decrease personal safety concerns at these select wetland areas throughout the park, the township should consider design treatments that maximize access and utility of the park for recreation and educational opportunities. This will help to continue protecting the wetland area as a critical part of the natural environment, but also allow residents and park users to learn from its wide diversity of plants and animals.
Yeah.
So I think we have to really find a balance.
I would like to mention, I suspect that this is a project that's gonna exceed 20K in terms of funding. And there may need to look for additional sources of funding to do it in an effective way. But I think
Yeah.
that should be pursued. I think this is an important thing.
Yeah. We could definitely, once we start getting, there's a budget that has to be submitted as part of the grant request. So as we start approaching that 20,000 number, we could be, if we get to that point where we're like, oh yes, it's going to exceed it, we could either do it in phases where phase one is paid by Sustainable Jersey and then Franklin will, finalize it. Um, or we make it work within the 20,000. There's things we're going to have to consider, but that's why it's good to like start working on it now. And then we have next month to kind of decide like, yes, this is the budget we want to submit, all that.
All right, well, thanks. Thank you, everybody. Any other comments before we move on to old business?
Nope, I
We-
love the idea. That's my one comment. I think it's great.
I like it too. And I'm just thinking, Vanessa, so we are going to need a motion from the committee when it's time to apply for the grant. I don't know if we need a motion now, but I do just want to be clear that you want me to work on putting this together. Everyone is on board with me
Oh.
working on putting it together.
Yes, that's
Okay.
Mark's comment, but I did have one other question, sorry, but
Sure.
I'll let other people speak first. Go ahead.
As long as we have community input and people would feel safe to use the trail we're putting in.
Yep.
Great.
So my question is, and maybe I missed, Vanessa, you were reading from, is this a draft of the grant proposal?
No, this was the report, the crime prevention through environmental design, audit, and site assessment. This document, that Tara had been pulling up parts of from.
Yeah, that's
before.
what, that was not attached to our, right? Was that from somewhere else? Did we
It
get
was
that the
not
last
attached.
meeting?
It wasn't attached only because of the size. So we now have OneDrive through the township, so I can send that to you guys as a link. So I will do that.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if it was in the previous, I don't remember seeing it. That was all. I got confused. I was looking at, I kept opening this assets
Uh,
attachment and I'm like, that's not it.
uh, yeah.
Sorry, I thought we had shared it previously. I apologize.
We might have. I'm sorry if I missed, that's why I was asking. Did I miss it at a prior meeting?
I think you may have, but we only went through it briefly. So yeah, so I'll send it again. This way everyone can read it.
I might have it. If you think, Vanessa, it was sent, I'll go
No, I
back
might
to
be
my
wrong. I might be
older,
wrong.
I'll go back to, because I missed one or two meetings. So,
Send it again. That way we're all covered.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so I'll
Okay.
get working on that, and then at the next meeting, I'll have, at least in a form where we can go through the budget that we're proposing and all that. This way we can make sure it's ready to go.
Okay, great. And moving on to old business. We have trail walks, is that right? I just switched my screen on myself.
I believe so. Hold on, let me get my agenda up. I'm just taking a note here. Trail walks and events.
Okay. Chuck, any updates for us on things that you've been doing that you want to quickly mention?
I've been limited in my ability to do any more organized walks. I'm looking forward to taking these up in the spring. And I would like, that's just where I am with what I can do. But there is we are attempting to organize a hike through Hutchinson Forest with Rutgers faculty out there with Parks and Recreation, when will that take place, Diana? When are we thinking about it?
Well, it looks like it'll probably be May.
Probably be May before we can
The
do that. But I would like to, start thinking about organizing hikes and events for next year. I think I'm pretty much limited. Perhaps I could do some myself in the early part of March, but it's probably going to be May. Well, we will be in Florida the whole entire month of April. So, but I'd just like to keep working on this. I think it's very important to do this, and I think it's we're getting more of the public out on our trails, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think for Vanessa and I had talked, and maybe for January, we can come up with some ideas to start putting together like a trail walk schedule, even if it's not by date yet, but by idea for the year. That might be helpful.
Yeah, I think if somebody, there are trails that we could, someone could take them on, people on in January, in spite of the hunting issues on Sundays, for example, that the environmental center trails, for example, um, they're sort of high and dry, and it might be interesting.
Canal is always.
And the canal is always good. The thing about the canal is that you have to keep your group size below 20,
Right.
because otherwise you have to get a permit from the canal, and that's sort of a loosey-goosey arrangement that we sort of had with the park people about that, and but so that's another possibility.
Okay. And I know that uh, Anna, who was shortly on our Trails Committee, has also been working with Parks and Recreation and doing some Tales on the Trails hikes,
Yes, I saw
and
that.
doing some of
Yeah.
those, getting people out. So I appreciate her disseminating those practices, which is really nice.
I think maybe if it's okay with you, Vanessa, I would say that for the January meeting, like Anne Marie, I know you were interested in doing a fitness walk. I think that would be awesome. If everyone can bring their ideas and maybe we can go through and at least even do a monthly, by month, and then we can like drill down to the date. Oh, one thing I do want to mention though, before it leaves me, is it today? Ugh, hold on one second. Let me see here. The Zach Lichtman from the astronomy club had reached out and he had said that there is a meteor shower happening on, I want to say it's the 15th, which is, nope, I'm sorry, it was yesterday. So this is kind of, a little late, but he had reached out. He only gave Bo and I like a short notice, but it was fine. They wanted to go do an observation event at John Clyde Memorial Native Grasslands Preserve for the meteor shower. And so Bo and I were able to get that approved.
Oh,
So
wow.
that happened. Yeah, so that happened yesterday and it was for the astronomy club members. And they were very happy to do that. And they also wanted to talk about putting together some events in advance for the year. So maybe I can get that from him in the meantime.
Yeah. Did you have a good turnout? Is it
Well, it was limited to 20 cars, I believe. And last time within minutes the spots were taken up and he expected the same. So
wonderful?
yeah, we limited to 20 cars at that time of night because of the limited parking. And we let the police know and everything so that there's no problems, but they were very happy to use that. They really like using that site for observation events.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I wish I knew about that. Too bad.
I know, yeah. It ends up he puts it on Facebook and it ends up being filled up almost immediately. But next time
It's a
we have
big
a little
deal.
more. Yeah,
There's
next
two
time
meteor showers going on around the same time in December, so this is a big deal.
yeah, next time we
Mm.
find out, with a little more notice, we can definitely let everyone know. So,
Great. And Tara, I mean, I guess I'm assuming that people could park elsewhere and walk over if they really wanted to. Not that that's recommended, but
they could, but that's why we limit it in term if we're like kind of hosting the event, like we don't want to encourage that at 9 o'clock at night, which
right.
is when they're there. So we limit it that way. Although, yes, we couldn't really, someone definitely could do that for sure.
Okay. Okay, next thing we have is expanding land near existing parks to access nature. We just talked about the potential trail at Naaman Williams Park.
Yep.
I forwarded the plan just while we were talking a second ago.
Okay. Yeah, I kept that on as a placeholder. So, for the next agenda, it'll just be like under Sustainable Jersey grant.
Okay. And just like right now, we're just kind of like wanting to kind of get support from the Trails Committee, and then we want to branch that out. We would like to, get some buy-in from open space, get some buy-in from the Environmental Commission, Parks and Recreation. We want to make sure that this is not, that this is a widely supported idea as we move forward as well. And then if, as we do something like this, we also want to continue looking at other land near other parks to see if there's more opportunities. But I think this is a good place to launch from, although it's a little more comprehensive due to the wetland piece.
Right.
The next thing we have is advanced signage for trails.
Yes, so we've been talking about doing some advanced signage to alert people that our trails are there, especially near the near the towpath. DPW is currently replacing every sign or I shouldn't say currently replacing. They're in the process of making and replacing every sign for all of our parks and open spaces, so they'll all be uniform. Memorial Forest, everything that has a sign is getting one of those new big brown signs. So they're working on that, installing them, and then the next round of signage will include hopefully these advanced warning signs. So we're just going to give them time to let them finish that, which is a big project because they make those signs and get those installed.
Tara, I have a question. So is that replacing the signs that were currently there, or also adding them to the places that didn't have them already?
My understanding is it's both. So it's replacing the ones that are there that really need repair and then adding to those that don't have them.
Are
Okay.
these the entrance signs you're talking about, or
The entrance.
the
The entrance.
wooden entrance signs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big brown wooden ones, they're still gonna be brown. The letters are gonna be white, but they're gonna, all be uniform and like so that the fonts, you'll be able to tell that it's a Franklin Trail and plus they'll look nice. Like the one at Memorial Forest up close really is in bad shape. So those will all be replaced.
Just out of curiosity, is the white paint reflective?
I don't know, actually. I can ask.
don't
That it
think
should
so.
be. You know what? I can say
really-
no. I can say no, it is not for Memorial Forest only because I drive home from meetings that way and I can literally picture it in my head and I can't see the writing. So
I don't think so.
that is a good question though, is that will they be using reflective? I'll ask. That's a good question.
Why not? If you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
visible all times.
Hey, Tara, I know we were talking about possibly also reaching out to the state parks
Yes.
to find out about putting the trail signs for the towpath entrances.
Yes, that is on my to-do list and I will take care of that for sure. Yeah, I just got to get to it, but I have it on my list
Okay.
of to-dos.
Um, and I just have, I'm wondering, I guess maybe now's not the right time, but maybe in our next meeting, I'd like to know, like, for my trails, right? So the Franklin Park Natural Area and Bunker Hill Natural Area, I would like us to discuss, like, if we think they should continue to have separate names or if they should be one. Because like, it's the same, it's all connected. And,
Right.
so, I want to add that to our next agenda because I'd like to, because if they're making signs, if we're
Yeah,
gonna change
no,
the
now,
name,
yeah,
like
now's
now would
the
be the
time.
time to do that.
Now's the time for sure. Yeah. I think if you add that to the list, we can put that on the next agenda. I think that would make a lot of sense. Yep.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the local health assessment and action plan.
So the only update I have right now at this point is the focus group was held tonight. Safi held that focus group with an intern. We are having one more on December 21st, and it's for people that reside in wards 4 and 5 because we want to make sure we get input from those wards. But the YMCA has held focus groups. We have held multiple focus groups. Um, some of our environmental commission members held focus groups for the Franklin's Women's Club and Parkside Senior Center. So we're finalizing the focus groups with this upcoming one. And then we can actually put together the assessment report because we've collected all the data. We have the survey data and we have the focus group data. So we are going to be basically putting all that data together and analyzing it shortly. And So yeah, moving along. We're moving along on that project, but learning a lot of really cool stuff and you know, just it's a good project. It encompasses a lot of different things, that's for sure.
Is Ward, I always forget which the wards are. Is Ward 4 the one by Naaman Williams?
Naaman Williams is in Ward 4, and then Ward 5 is is a smaller amount of property, but is it directly adjacent to New Brunswick. So by
Okay.
Hamilton, where Hamilton meets New Brunswick.
I'm just wondering if there'll be some of the information in that those results that might help us as we're thinking about
Yeah.
the trail.
There will, and that's what I was saying before. Some of the data we have for Ward 4 at least, it might not be specific to Naaman Williams Park, but we've saved the respondents by ward, not by name, but by what ward they came in. So we could pull out all of Ward 4 and analyze like what do they say about open space and parks, and use that as well.
Thanks. Paint
I
blazes.
had a question about, I mean, I don't want to get
Sure.
us too delayed. I just have you gotten much more response? Because I saw an article, I think in the Franklin Times, where the the it was discussed, the local health, the plan was discussed, and there was sort of a preliminary review of the data, and it, it quoted you guys as having some conclusions or some trends from the data, but it seemed for a town of nearly 60,000 people, it was based on like less than 300 responses. So
Yeah, so the data that we put together, the preliminary findings, though that data is taken from the census data and from data taken from the Center for Disease Control, the state police, the NJDEP. So those findings were all based on data that are like from reliable sources. We were saying that at that point we only had 300 surveys. So the surveys and the focus groups, we're kind of using that data to supplement what we're finding, on paper, like the hard data, to try and get the background on maybe why do people that live there think this is. But any findings we have is coming straight from, reliably sourced real data.
okay, so it wasn't just the
No.
conclusions that were discussed were not just based on the survey responses.
No, the main conclusion that we found, which we double verified to be sure, is that if you're in Ward 5, your that's the one that is adjacent to New Brunswick. Your average life expectancy is 77.9, I believe it was. If you're in Ward 1, which is the southern part of Franklin, down by the canal, um,
Closest to
you
Princeton.
yes, your average life expectancy there is 88.1, and it's only a 6-mile difference, but 77.9 versus 88.1. And the other thing we looked at is, of course, things that you would expect, but that Ward 1 is much less densely populated than Ward 5. There's a lot more air quality issues in the section by New Brunswick, obviously, because there's more traffic, much less open space. The other interesting thing is that Ward 1 by Princeton, not only is that the highest average life expectancy in Franklin Township, it's also the highest average life expectancy in all of Somerset County.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it is. It is interesting.
I think it would be interesting to compare that to the nearby, the adjacent Mercer County with
Mm,
Princeton, since Princeton's the next kind of county right there, right? Don't
yeah,
we,
yeah,
don't we butt up again? It would just be curious to see how that compares to that. And is it because it's in close proximity to that area
yeah.
and is this, not just because I would think it has something to do, well, I don't know. One can draw all kinds of conclusions. I just wonder if the neighboring section shares that similar
Yeah,
situation.
that's a good idea. And yes, because we've only really been comparing it within Somerset, but that is a good idea because you're
Just
right.
the couple adjacent areas, like is the
Yeah,
next adjacent area to Ward 1, whatever that is, if whatever census tract, if you're comparing, like if you have data that's available by census tract and
yeah,
things like that,
we
is
do.
that
Yeah.
adjacent area experiencing the same thing,
Mm,
something similar in each case? It
that
would
is a
just,
really good idea. I like that. Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll
But
look
thanks,
into it.
that clarified a question, big
Yeah,
question for me. 'Cause
yeah.
I think it was just poorly, it wasn't clear in the article. It was a good article. I was very interested to read about it. But I came away with the impression that conclusions were being drawn from just the survey respondents. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
that didn't
it was
seem,
a little confusing. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I
But
agree.
I
No,
don't
we're
think that
just,
was necessarily you. It might have just been the way the article was written. So,
yeah, yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, paint blazes.
I don't have any updates on the paint blazes. I haven't been out again, so I know I have to start working on those soon. It's just been, well, it's just been cold, so, we'll
It's
keep
too
getting
cold
to
to
them.
do.
It's too
Same
cold
here,
to
Tara.
do. I know, it's too cold. And the other issue is that I don't want to do any paint blazes on any areas that are not finalized with the mapping yet, because if we haven't agreed to the mapping, then I don't want to put the paint blazes up. So I have all the paint though and everything, and it's still fine. So once we get the maps finalized, we can really, get going on that.
I would be interested. So what's the deal? Like, remind me real quickly, one more time. How do I get the paint, and can the paint be applied in cold temperatures?
My understanding, I have the paint here somewhere, but under my desk somewhere. It can be applied in cold temperatures. When you're ready, you can get the paint from me. I have all the different colors. I have the paint brushes and all of that. The only thing is, so for example, Mark, like your area is John Clyde. We don't have the mapping finalized on that. So the best thing I think is wait until we have
Right, but
all
I was
agreed.
thinking,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking around the environmental center instead.
Oh, yeah. I guess we could do that
Is
one.
that technical? Because it's, I got the impression from listening tonight that that section was mostly clear and final. The blue trail and the
Mhm.
brown trail that goes along the access road to the cell tower and all that seemed to be
Yeah,
pretty okay, right?
I think
That didn't seem
so.
to be a contentious map from what my
No.
recollection is tonight.
Yeah, so what I would say is AT will probably work on that one first because that one had like a real consensus. As soon as he gets me the updated map, I can forward it to you and then we can arrange a time. I have all the paint at the township building. I have one here, but I have it at the township building so we can meet and I can get you the paint, whatever colors you need, and then you just go out and put the blazes on.
Okay, thanks. I might be able to do a couple of those. So
Okay, perfect.
great. I prefer cold and easier to get to all the trees without a lot of undergrowth in the cold weather. It's a lot
Right.
easier to get to the spots. So
That is true.
And, I'm sorry, say that again. How do we get it?
Just let me know. So when the area that you want to do, the map is finalized. So when we have the maps finalized, I'll say, hey, this is done. If we want to do the paint blazes, then just reach out to me and I will make sure you get it. I have it at the township building, all the paint
Okay.
and the brushes, but I can get it to you. We'll figure out a way to get it to you for sure.
Okay. And the last item on our agenda, updates on trail conditions from members. I do not have any recent updates.
I don't have any updates.
I do not either.
I don't have any updates on the trails. I did want to mention that I'm working on narratives for the assets section. And I would be happy to circulate drafts of these to you folks if you would like for me to do so. Um, Just, it's up to you. But I'll be working on that for the next several weeks, and I can probably get them to you before the January meeting.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that would be great.
All right, thanks, Chuck. That sounds good. And what is the January meeting date?
Sorry, hang on. I just had to plug my computer in for a minute.
It's the
It was like-
11th.
It was going down. I could see it started getting dim. Okay.
Wednesday, January 11th.
Is that that's an in person or is that a Zoom?
In
WebEx?
person.
in
In
person.
person.
Person, okay.
Let's have a party.
I know, right?
Um, okay. Who's going to the December 20th open space?
I am Diana and I are.
Oh, great, great. Anne
I'm-
Marie, I'm going. Okay, good.
Sorry, not making it.
Well, we'll see you on January 11th, hopefully.
I hope so. That's my intention.
Good, 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 good. Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry, Vanessa.
Third.
We do have someone, we have someone on an attendee.
Oh, okay, so we want to make a motion to open for public comment?
I make a motion to open the meeting to public comment.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
No
Okay.
abstentions or abstains. Welcome,
right.
member of the public.
We have Pamela Lockhart. Pamela, do you have any comment for the committee? Let me see. Pamela, are you there? I unmuted her. Let me just, I said, okay, you're unmuted. Let me try it one more time. Okay. Pamela, can you hear me? No response. So if you have, Pamela, if you're trying to talk and you're having a problem, you can always send me an email. Or, look on our website and the information is there and, we can get back to you that way.
Mention.
Oh,
I can't hear anything, Vanessa. I'm sorry. I
Okay,
think,
nope, all right, thank you.
okay, as a member of the public, can I make a comment?
I don't think you're technically a member of the public, but,
Oh my God, I've lost
Diana's a member of the public.
my citizenship. I would just like to say that I attended the town hall meeting, the 3-hour town hall meeting.
Hey,
that-
Chuck, let's just close the public comment part, and then before we adjourn, we'll let you share your piece, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So we're in compliance.
I'll make a motion to close the public comment portion of the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, opposed? All right, public comment is closed. Chuck?
Oh, do we want to make a motion to close the meeting in total or no?
No, we're gonna let Chuck make his comment, and then we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
close.
Yeah, I just want to say that I attended the 3-hour public town hall meeting for the Mark Healy's ran for discussing the
Roses.
planning commission deals. And Phil Kramer was nice enough to mention that the Trails Committee has been actively working on their part of the plan for inclusion in the master plan. And this seems to be the only committee that's working at the moment. But my kudos to Phil. I honestly do not understand how this man can attend so many meetings as he does and still keep his sanity.
Yeah, right.
We only had like a 3-year head start on this Pathways to Trails plan.
Right.
We're getting there.
All right. I move
Okay.
that we close the meeting. We adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Happy holidays, everybody, and
All
take care.
All right.
Any
I'll
abstentions?
see everyone. Okay.
Okay. So
Thank you.
meeting is adjourned.